Welcome lower back to the channel that uncovers the hidden tales at the back of Hollywood's biggest stars. Before we dive into modern-day video, make certain you hit that subscribe button and activate notifications so you by no means leave out our weekly deep dives into movie star mysteries. Today, we are exploring the shocking fact behind Gene Hackman's $80 million fortune and the family dynamics he left behind. This hidden wealth can also appear like a blessing, but as you may discover, it had become a curse that tore his family apart with secrets and techniques and betrayal. Stay with me till the quit. The very last revelation will trade how you see, considered one of Hollywood's most reputable actors all the time. In the serene panorama of Santa Fe, New Mexico, some distance from the evident lights of Hollywood, Gene Hackman spent his final years in seclusion. The Time Oscar winner who captivated audiences in classics like The French Connection and Unforgiven intentionally stepped far away from fame when he retired from appearing in 2004. This February, whilst news broke that Hackman and his wife Betsy Arakawa had been observed deceased of their domestic, the world mourned the lack of a legendary actor. But beneath the general public tributes lay a darker story, one among isolation, strange relationships, and a fortune stored secret even from his own youngsters. Hackman's decision to retreat from public lifestyles wasn't just about escaping Hollywood's pressures. It represented a sample of emotional distance that described his whole approach to own family relationships. While fans knew the consummate expert who could rework into any man or woman with seeming ease, his three kids from his first marriage to Faye Maltese, Christopher, Elizabeth, and Leslie, knew an extraordinary man altogether. A father who became physically and emotionally absent throughout their formative years, developing wounds that would by no means fully heal. The needs of Hackman's growing career in the U.S. meant lengthy stretches far away from home. While he began constructing a legacy on screen, at home his youngsters have been developing up feeling ignored. In rare interviews, Hackman himself mentioned this painful reality. This candid admission came too late to repair the damage already done. The emotional chasm among Hackman and his youngsters widened with every passing 12 months, evolving from a brief absence into a permanent state of disconnection. What makes this circle of relatives' tragedy even greater complex is the shocking revelation that came after Hackman's demise. A fortune expected at $80 million that he had stored in large part hidden even from his closest own family participants. This extensive wealth, amassed through a long time of success movies and wise investments, remained shrouded in secrecy throughout his lifetime. For a person who lived relatively modestly, the extent of his wealth came as a surprise to many. But for his children, this discovery wasn't just surprising. It turned into deeply painful, representing but some other layer of secrecy in a dating already characterized by means of emotional withholding. The relationship among Hackman and his youngsters wasn't just strained. It turned into marked by using a cold detachment that left emotional scars lasting properly into their adulthood. Christopher, Elizabeth, and Leslie failed to simply miss out on having their father present for milestones. They neglected the essential experience of feeling emotionally connected to their father. While Hackman supplied financially, making sure his own family never wanted for cloth comforts, he didn't offer the emotional sustenance that children need to thrive. His son Christopher, especially, grew up feeling greater like a stranger to his father than own family, a sentiment that echoed in the course of all their relationships. As the Hackman circle of relatives commenced sorting through his affairs after his loss of life, they uncovered something far extra complex than simple investments, that painted a photograph of a person passionate about controlling and concealing his wealth. Shell organizations, offshore debts, and intricate funding structures discovered a degree of monetary secrecy that went a ways past normal privateness issues. This wasn't just about a celebrity shielding his property. This was a planned approach to hold his fortune hidden, even from individuals who might finally inherit it. perhaps the most shocking detail of Hackman's monetary secrecy was the invention of an untouched fund with a chilling condition. Anyone who attempted to get right of entry to it earlier than unique conditions were met would forfeit their entire inheritance. This revelation wasn't just about cash, it became about manage. Even in demise, Hackman maintained a decent grip on his own family through his financial selections. The message changed into clean, the fortune became his to manipulate even from beyond the grave. When Hackman's will became finally studied, his own family faced no longer just the surprise of his good-sized fortune, but also the strict barriers attached to it. The inheritance got here with unique conditions that confined how his circle of relatives should use his call or share testimonies approximately him. They couldn't write books, produce documentaries, or take part in interviews that centered on their relationship with him without risking their inheritance. For his kids, this felt like a very last rejection, a message that even in his absence they weren't trusted with his legacy. Among Hackman's personal outcomes, his circle of relatives determined something even extra heartbreaking. A group of letters addressed to each of his kids, but never sent. These letters found out an aspect of Hackman that his children had never acknowledged. In them he expressed regrets, approximately his absence from their lives, and acknowledged the pain he had brought on through his emotional distance. Yet those letters remained unsent. Some other instance of Hackman's incapacity to bridge the emotional gap he had created. The letters discovered a man torn among his preference to connect to his youngsters and his worry of emotional vulnerability. Whether it was delight, fear of rejection, or sincerely the habits of emotional detachment so deeply ingrained over decades, Hackman couldn't convey himself to attain out in a significant manner. For his children, coming across those letters after his demise became perhaps the most harsh irony. Evidence that their father had identified his failings, however chosen yet again to keep his real emotions hidden. Gene Hackman's profession stands as one of the most reputable in Hollywood records. On screen, he ought to carry complex feelings with subtle expressions, making audiences sense deeply connected to his characters. The irony of this professional success is stark, whilst contrasted along with his non-public lifestyle. The emotional toll of Hackman's demise and the following discoveries about his fortune affected every family member differently. For some, it confirmed lengthy held suspicions about their father's emotional detachment. For others, it opened new wounds, raising questions that could in no way be spoke back. Particularly tough was the conclusion that Hackman had maintained near relationships whilst ultimate remote from his personal kids. These pals knew a version of Gene Hackman that his own family in no way skilled. Warm, enticing, even inclined at times. What makes Hackman's tale especially tragic is that there were brief moments at some stage in his life, while reconciliation appeared viable. Occasional circle of relatives gatherings presented glimpses of what might have been. A father connected to his youngsters, engaged of their lives, found in extra than only a physical feel. But these moments were fleeting, quickly overshadowed through the go-back-to emotional distance. These brief connections made the standard distance extra painful, giving his kids desire for exchange that never completely materialized.